Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today I'm deviating a bit and there'll be no Quranic lesson. But I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story of someone who changed the history of mankind. And he is no other than Muhammad, peace be upon him, the beloved of Allah. Before that, let's send our blessings on him. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa barik wa sallim kama tibbu wa tarda adada ma tibbu wa tarda. In Surah 33, verse 56, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi Ya ayyuhallazina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Translation: Verily, Allah and His angels shower blessings on the Prophet. O you who believe, send blessings on him and salute him in a worthy salutation. It was the year 570 AD of the Christian era. The Arabs in Mecca were in the heights of their ignorance. They worshipped 360 idols, all named females, in the Kaaba. Kaaba, as you know, is the first house built for worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it was built by Prophet Abraham in the year 2130 before Christ. These Arabs lived by plundering caravans. That was their livelihood. They lived in indecency and debauchery. So much so that they married their own mothers. And they buried the young infant daughters in sand. That was out of shame. They could not face the society that they had given birth to a daughter. Amina gave birth to a baby boy on the 22nd of April, 570 after died. That was the 12th of Rabiul Awwal. And incidentally, today is also the 12th of Rabiul Awwal. The father of the baby boy had died earlier, before the birth, while he was away on a trip in a caravan to Syria. Hazrat Amina says that she did not feel the weight of the pregnancy when she was carrying the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in her stomach. And when he was born circumcised. As his father had died earlier, so his grandfather Abdul Muttalib looked after him and protected him. The infant's head was shaved, and gold was distributed equivalent to the weight of the hair to the poor by the grandfather. Unfortunately, Amina also died when the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was only 6 years old. And his grandfather died when he was 8 years old. So he came under the protection of his uncle Abu Talib, who looked after him and protected him for a long time. The first governess who was appointed to look after the Holy Prophet as an infant or as a child was Tobia. We have seldom heard of this name. And Tobia was found to be neglectful. So she was discharged from the duty. And Halima looked after him as a foster mother. The child's grandfather named him Muhammad, the praised one. And they belong to the tribe of Quraysh, which was one of the leading tribes of Arabian Peninsula. They were descendants of Prophet Abraham to Prophet Ismail. As a young boy, the Prophet, peace be upon him, tended sheep, as his uncle Abu Talib was not very rich. And one day, an incident happened. Another boy who was along with the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, saw that the Prophet was lying down on the ground, and someone had opened up his chest and was pouring something into the chest with a golden goblet. Later on, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, informed us that it was Gabriel who had opened up his chest and poured faith into his chest in the form of a liquid, and then closed it up. That was open heart surgery done 1500 years ago by Angel Gabriel. Now, as he grew up, he used to accompany his uncle Abu Talib on business trips in caravans to other countries like Syria. And this young man proved to be very shrewd businessman and brought a lot of profit to his uncle. Incidentally, at that time, a very rich widow by the name of Khatija noticed him and employed him in her service. And here too, he brought her good profits from the business trips when he went abroad to other countries with the goods of Hazrat Khadija. So Khadija offered to marry him, and she married the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, when he was 25 years old, and she was 40 years old at the time. The marriage proved to be very successful. They had a number of children, and it was a very loving marriage until Khadija died. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, had not married any other woman during her lifetime. Now, at that time, there were a group of people known as Hunafa. Hunafa means to turn away, actually to turn away from idol worship. These were a group of young men who were fed up with idol worship, and they were seeking truth. And Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was one of them. And he used to retire in a cave on Mount Hira every year in the month of Ramadan. One day, when he was in the cave, he heard a voice asking him to read. And he replied, "I cannot read." Then someone in the shape of a man standing in front of him asked him to read again. And he hugged him and squeezed the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The Holy Prophet said, "I cannot read." The person hugged him again very hard and asked the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, to read. And on the third time, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "What do I read?" And then the person actually who was Gabriel asked him to read the verse of the Quran, which is the 96th surah of the Holy Quran. And it goes as such: "Ikra bi ismi rabbika allazi khalaq." Read in the name of your Lord who created. Khalaq al-insana min alaq. Created man from a clot. Ikra wa rabbukal akram. And read, for your Lord is most generous. Allazi allama bil kalam. And he taught by the pen. Allamal insana ma lam ya'lam. And he taught man what he did not knew. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. These words were imprinted on the heart of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And he was very scared. He did not know who that person was. And when he came out of the cave, he saw the same person standing on the horizon, covering the whole of the horizon. And later on, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, told us that he was Angel Gabriel. So he went home in this state, very troubled. He went to Khadija and told her the whole incident. He was shivering and covered himself with a blanket. Khadija consoled him and said, "Nothing bad will happen to you. It was not an evil spirit who came to you. For you have always been good. You have been good to others. You have helped the poor and the needy, the widows and the orphans. How can any harm come to you?" Then they visited the cousin of Hazrat Khatija by the name of Waraka. Waraka was learned in Jewish and Christian scriptures. When he heard the story, he said, "It is the same messenger who came to Prophet Moses." So, after that, Angel Gabriel came again and again with a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And he was asked to spread the message of Islam. The Quraysh were idol worshippers. They did not like it. They opposed him. So much so that they even planned to kill him. They asked him to stop preaching. And they said, "We will give you anything if you stop preaching. We'll give you all the riches you want. We'll give you the most beautiful woman in marriage if you want." But the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "If you give me the sun in one hand and the moon in the other hand, I will not stop preaching." For the first 3 years, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, preached only to his family and close friends. And he spent 13 years preaching in Mecca without much success. The earliest converts, the first of them was Hazrat Khadija, and then was his cousin Ali, and third was his former slave Zaid. Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was one of the earlier converts also. When the persecution of the early Muslims became very severe, they migrated to Medina at the invitation of a few converts from Medina. After the migration, the success story started. And 10 years was spent in preaching and wars. Within 10 years, the whole of the Arabian Peninsula had accepted Islam. The Kafirs had initially opposed Islam, and they said, "We will never accept Islam. We will even commit suicide, but will not accept Islam." And then, when all of them had become Muslims, somebody asked them, "What happened to your suicide?" They said, "We were overwhelmed by Islam. There were Muslims on the right, there were Muslims on the left, there were Muslims in the front. There was a sea of Muslims, so we also accepted Islam." There were many wars fought by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The first Ghazwa, which is known as the Ghazwa of Abwa of Islam, was fought by 60 Muhajirin with the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And the first major battle, which is mentioned in the Holy Quran, is the Battle of Badr. There were 313 participants on the Muslim side And there were 1,000 kafirs on the other side, led by Abu Sufyan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to the Muslims. And the glory of Islam started to grow after that. The last battle fought by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was the Battle of Tabuk. There were altogether 27 battles led by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, himself. And he had planned 38 battles altogether. The conquest of Mecca was in the year 630 after died. And that was the end of wars between the Quraysh and Muslims. I like to point out some of the physical traits of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. He was medium in height, slim built, with a broad forehead. He had thick black hair falling to the length of between his earlobes and shoulders. And even in his old age, he had very few grey hairs. He let his beard grow, and the moustache did not touch the upper lip. He had exceptionally long eyelashes and dark black eyes. He had extensive eyebrows, but they did not join in the center. And his nose was aquiline, that is hooked. The nose you see in the Arabs and the Jews. His mouth was wide, with finely shaped lips. When he smiled, he used to smile when conversing. And when he used to smile, his pearly white teeth used to show. And that produced an irresistible admiration of him. One Sahaba described him that one night the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, came out on a full moon. And he was wearing a red cloak. The Sahaba said, he looked at the moon and then looked at the Holy Prophet, then looked at the moon again. And he swears that he found the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, more beautiful than the moon. Subhanallah. He loved perfumes. The odor of the perfumes was not sharp and pungent and piercing. He was an able military commander, an excellent administrator, a judge, a family man, an excellent husband. He used to do the chores at home. He used to mend the clothes, mend his own slippers. He was an excellent father and a grandfather. During prayers, when one of his grandchildren would climb up on his back, he would put him down when we used to go into prostration. And then when he used to stand up, he used to pick him up again and put on his shoulders while he continued praying. Imagine our state. If someone makes a noise near you, you become irritable. Michael Hart, who is an American author, has written a book, The 100 Most Influential People in the History of this world. And He has named Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as number one. A person who changed the entire history of mankind with his noble nature and character. I'd like to mention a few words of the last sermon of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. This sermon was delivered on the farewell pilgrimage of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, or the last pilgrimage. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thanking Allah, the Prophet, peace be upon him, began with the words, "O people, lend me an attentive ear, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore listen carefully to what I am saying, and take these words of those who could not be present here today. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, this city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one, so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord, and that He will indeed reckon with your deeds. Allah has forbidden you to take usury. Therefore all interest obligations shall henceforth be waived. Your capital is for you to keep. You will neither inflict nor suffer an inequality. Allah has judged that there shall be no interest, no interest. Every right arising of homicide in pre-Islamic days is henceforth waived. Beware of Satan, the safety of your religion, for the safety of the religion. Beware of Satan. He has lost all hopes that he'll be able to lead you astray in big things. So beware of following him in small things. O people, it is true you have certain rights with regards to your woman, but they also have rights over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under Allah's trust and with His permission. If they abide by your right, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Do treat your woman well and be kind. O people, listen to me in earnest. Worship Allah. Say your 5 daily prayers, fasting during the month of Ramadan, and give your wealth in zakat. Perform Hajj if you can afford it. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, and nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white, except the piety and good actions. These are the causes of your superiority. Learn that every Muslim is a brother to every Muslim, and that Muslims constitute one brotherhood. Do not therefore do injustice to yourselves. Remember, one day you will meet Allah and answer your deeds. O people, no prophet or apostle will come after me. No new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people, and understand words that I convey to you. I leave behind me two things, the Quran and the Sunnah, and if you follow these, you will never go astray. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others, and those to others again, and may the last one understand. May the last one understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. O Allah, be my witness that I have conveyed your message to your people. What a beautiful sermon. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, died in 632 AD. He died after a short sickness, and this was the result of a poisoning which a Jewish had poisoned him many years ago. He died on Monday, the 8th of June, 14th Rabiul Awwal. His age was 62 at the time of his death. Let us follow what Allah and the Holy Prophet has commanded us. May all of us be successful. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.